Warner Brothas Podcast. Welcome back. This might be the quickest reaction show y'all ever get. It's halftime of Game 5 between the Nuggets and Thunder, Western Conference Finals. Pacers, Cavs just ended probably about 45 minutes to an hour ago. We know that Indiana advanced. I do not have much to say about that game because I missed 98% of that game. Saw about the last 2 minutes. So y'all can call me a fake fan. Y'all can call me phony because I deserve it. This is probably the most of the NBA playoffs I've ever missed. Seems like I've missed semifinals more than the first round, honestly, which is kind of interesting. So you might hear me react more in depth when I record with Keenan later in the week to Indiana and the Cavs. Quickly on this game, before I go in reverse order and talk about last night's happenings, because I did not get a chance to react last night. We got Denver up by 2 at the half. Similar, and you'll hear me talk about the Knicks and Celtics, obviously, in a bit. Similar to how me and Keenan said on Sunday, we like the Celtics in Game 4, but the Knicks haven't had a great game yet. What does that look like if the Knicks put together 4 quarters of a good game, right? Jokic hasn't had a great game in the series, aside from Game 1. Game 1 was obviously one of his best games in his career. But Games 2, 3, and 4, not the greatest effort from Jokic. Not the best shooting performances from Jokic. He's put it all together in the first half. Shooting's much better. Scoring's much better. His touch is much better. Jamal Murray, you can see him being aggressive. Porter Jr. showing up. Even if his shot's not falling, his defense is there. His offensive aggression's there. Westbrook, you're getting good defense from. And OKC, they've been down a couple times, more than 2 or 3 possessions. And they keep fighting. They're showing they're more than worthy. And this is why we love a do-or-die Game 5, because they are truly mini Game 7s, especially when you're tied at 2. So I cannot wait for the second half. Maybe you'll see us react to the second half. We'll see. Because Indiana and the Cavs will not be playing on Thursday, obviously, we will have Game 6 in Denver by itself. That'll be a standalone game, primetime game that we'll all get to enjoy together. So can't wait to see that. Going back to last night, though, much happened. I bet every basketball fan on earth made the joke that, watch the Mavs get the number 1 pick in this year's lottery, with it being Cooper Flagg, who is truly one of the best prospects in the history of the NBA coming out of college. I don't think that's a stretch to say at all. Certainly one of the probably top 5 prospects of the top 25 years, right? Dating back to LeBron. Cooper Flagg's up there. And the Mavs, who pulled the dumbest trade, the dumbest executive decision you will ever see by a franchise across all sports. Throw out MLB. I'm not familiar with hockey. I can't imagine anyone's made a decision as stupid as, they traded Wayne Gretzky, actually, from the Oilers. So, I knew that, right? I'm up on my hockey a little bit. So aside from the Wayne Gretzky trade, maybe that was in the 80s, the Luka Doncic trade is number 1. For sure number 1 since the Gretzky trade. You haven't got anything like that in the NFL, MLB. This takes the cake. A generational superstar traded before he gets to his peak of his powers. And the Mavs seemingly get rewarded for that when they had a 1% chance. And the craziest thing about it is, it's already a roster that if Kyrie and Anthony Davis stay healthy this year, especially Kyrie, they might have made the playoffs themselves. Instead, they get bounced from the play-in. They were 1 game away from the playoffs. And they luck into a guy who I think could make any team better. Someone who could get you at least 5 more wins if you're the Dallas Mavericks. And then lastly, and most unfortunately, Celtics lose Jason Tatum for the season. At a point in the game, and by the way, Jason Tatum was having one of the best games of his career 42 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, I believe. Shooting the cover off the ball. Him and Derek White were really the only ones bringing it for the Celtics last night. Knicks played their best game of the series. All 4 quarters. Brunson, obviously. Bridges had a great second half. OG showed up. Towns had an okay game, right? Towns actually probably had his best game of the series. Jaylen Brown did not show up. Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday did not show up. Celtics bench did not show up. Peyton Pritchard had a weak game, right? It was only Tatum and Derek White. And at the point of the injury, they're down 7 with 3 minutes left. We know what happens. Jaylen Brown throws a terrible pass. Tatum tries to recover the loose ball. He blows out his Achilles. Awful. They go down 9, and they obviously lose the rest of the game. Real quick, I do believe the Celtics can win Game 5, force a Game 6, and then after that, who knows? But I do think they have not only the championship resolve, they have a deep enough team and a good enough team, a talented enough team, defensively and offensively, to where they could put pressure. Put pressure on the Knicks. That being said, this injury with Tatum, that's going to make him miss the whole regular season next year. We don't want to assume or not if the Celtics will make the playoffs next year. We have no idea what that roster is going to look like. That roster was going to look different next year, even if they repeated, most likely. So hard to speculate if they're a playoff team or not. You give them the benefit of the doubt there because they're the Celtics. They've made the playoffs for the last decade at least. It's a tough break, man. JT, who had been taking a lot of shit for being down 2-0, but then again was having a career game before he gets injured. And, you see a lot of people already talking about his career is over. He'll never be the same. It is, in fact, the worst sports injury to have. But we've seen Durant come back to almost 100% of what he was prior to the injury. Let's say 98, 99% of what he was. The athleticism isn't there, but it's not supposed to be at his age. And he's still a pretty damn good athlete for his age, talking about Kevin Durant. Tatum, who was dead set in his prime, maybe even at his peak, it's hard to say with him. Luckily for him, he can still shoot the ball well. But I don't want to speculate on what his career may or may not look like. I would say the two people who did come back effectively from the injury, like notably, would be Kevin Durant and Dominique Wilkins. What do they have in common? First ballot Hall of Famers. Jason Tatum looked like a first ballot Hall of Famer, or on his way to it. For sure had the resume of inching towards a first ballot Hall of Famer. So he's got that on his side. And I would say with Klay, who also came back from a torn Achilles, Klay Thompson, he's at least stayed pretty healthy since then. He hasn't missed a lot of extended periods of time. He hasn't been, that's the one thing that's changed with Durant since, is he's been injury prone. Klay hasn't been too injury prone. So that might be what you're looking at with Tatum. When he comes back is maybe, focusing on that injury so much. Maybe other areas of the body get banged up. That's certainly possible. But hey, he's talented enough. He's a good enough player, a great enough player even, to where you give him the benefit of the doubt. You don't want to just say his career is over. He's young enough to where, things still could work out. And I'm hoping that it does, because he takes a lot of shit for no real reason. When this is a guy who really does show up in the playoffs, showed up at 19 in the playoffs against LeBron. I mean, come on. This guy's built for it. So prayers to him, speedy recovery, positive thoughts to him. And let's see what the Celtics can do versus the Knicks tomorrow. It's going to be at TD Garden. You're going to get their best effort, hopefully. Hopefully we get a Game 6 at the Garden, at MSG. That's the hope. So I cannot wait to see these Cavs highlights, because I've not really got to see what happened. I saw they were up decently big in the first half of the game, maybe 16 points, 14 points. Saw Indy cut the lead in the third quarter and then eventually took the lead. Indy's poised, man. Indy's poised. I slept on them last year. I slept on them this year. I will no longer sleep on them. So they have earned my respect for whatever that's worth. I'm assuming the second half's about to start. Again, you might see me back here after the game. If not, you will for sure see me tomorrow and probably Thursday, and hopefully we can get a guest or two to discuss the happenings in the NBA. Interesting week, man. You just never know with this league. You know, you see a lot of people talk about the history of the league like it's so matter of fact. Like we all knew what was going to happen beforehand. You just never know with this league. None of us knew that Luka was going to be traded this year. None of us knew, if not the perennial favorite, certainly the next favorite in line after the Thunder. We never knew the Celtics would be down 3-1 to the Knicks, on top of a career-altering, on top of season-ending injury to Jason Tatum, on top of the Pacers winning 3-1, winning in 5 against the Cleveland Cavaliers, a 64-win team. You don't know with this shit. You never know. And you especially don't know in today's NBA, where seemingly the regular season truly does not matter. Not a lick. Not a lick. Not even mention the T-Wolves taking full control of the Golden State series. It's possible we see Steph Curry tomorrow, not likely. Notable here, and you heard Keenan mention this on Sunday, the Warriors were to win. Game 6 is until Sunday, so Steph would get a ton of rest. So, hey, you can't count the Warriors out with the championship resolve. Clearly, this is a mismatch for them with the T-Wolves, with their physicality, with their ability to shoot the ball. And Julius Randle just seems to be a mismatch for them all around. Post-game of Game 5, Nuggets, Thunder, Western Conference semifinals. Thunder pull out the victory, 112-105. In what looked like it could have been a classic. It was a physical, highly competitive Game 5 between two elite teams that you expect. Again, this is why we love the do-or-die Game 5s. Looked, honestly, a bit like Game 4, where Denver had control of the game. Had big control of the game coming out of the third quarter. Jamal Murray gives you a fantastic third quarter. As you'd seen at halftime, Jokic already was having a good game. Jamal Murray looked aggressive. Michael Porter and Westbrook had a terrible second half offensively. You got a pretty good game out of Aaron Gordon if you're the Nuggets. If you're OKC, you got a fantastic second half out of Lou Dort. 3 threes in the second half. I believe all in the fourth quarter, actually. Caruso gave you solid minutes. Chet and Jalen Williams, really your whole starting 5 gave you great minutes. And SGA did what he does and continues to close in these games that they win. He is so deadly, not only from the mid-range, but anytime he gets any sort of space. Denver, up until I believe the 4-minute mark, 3-minute mark, had only one field goal up until that point. All their field goals in the fourth quarter were made by Jokic, ending with an incredible shot with, I believe, about a minute 30 left, about 90 seconds left, which is followed up with a wide open, butt naked 3 from Jalen Williams in the corner, J-Dub. And that was really the end of it. Even though that only put him up 3, Michael Porter Jr., I believe he misses a 3 after that. They come down and SGA pulls up into a decently open 3, and that was really it. Denver could not get an answer. Again, no one made a field goal aside from Nikola Jokic in the fourth quarter. Very interesting, very similar to how Game 4 ended, where Denver just bottled them up. OKC bottled the Denver Nuggets up, and they had an extremely tough time scoring. So something to look forward to in Game 6. Doesn't really matter if Denver's got control of the game through 3 quarters, because apparently they can just get clamped up. So, again, Game 6 will be a standalone game. It's only them on the schedule. It's going to be a battle, man. It's going to be tough to take out Jokic and Murray. Again, Murray had 3/4 of a great game. Fourth quarter didn't do it for him. But hey, we saw last year when the chips are down, granted they lost this game, Jokic and Murray in that game 7 against the Timberwolves, they emptied the clip. They did all they could do. Can these role players step up? Can these role players hit threes like they were, in games 1 through 3, especially in games 1 and 3? Same with OKC. Is Lou Dort going to shoot the ball the way he did today? Because he's been struggling most of the series. They've been getting quality minutes all postseason from Caruso, especially this series. Can he and Chet and Hartenstein, can they keep it up? Can these young guys keep it up? Can SGA close the series out on the road? Right? If he's going to be the MVP, will he do MVP things? Or will Jokic and Murray and Aaron Gordon, a.k.a. the new Robert Horry, can they force a Game 7? Y'all know that's what I'm rooting for. We need more Game 7s. Once again, we got Golden State, Minnesota tomorrow. Could be the closeout game. We got Celtics and Knicks tomorrow in Boston. No Jason Tatum, obviously. Also could be a closeout game. So much to discuss. Much to look forward to. This was a very quick reaction. This is going to be just 5 minutes, but hey, there's not much to say. Jokic had an incredible game. SGA had an incredible game. And in the end, SGA's team, the OKC Thunder, their depth brought it just a little more than Denver's. When it looked like, when I spoke at halftime, looked like, everyone was having a pretty good game. Westbrook was bringing it defensively. He had an atrocious offensive second half. Porter Jr., at least his body language looked good. But he shot 2 threes in crunch time towards the end that you just felt like we're not going in. And then Murray got a lot of quality looks that just didn't seem to fall for whatever reason. Had a couple shots altered by Chet Holmgren late in the fourth. And then Jokic, per usual, sublime in these big games. When the chips are down, when it matters most, he always seems to find himself in the right spot, whether it's for a rebound, whether it's for a strip, whether it's for an easy basket, whether it's for a tough basket like we saw with his, I don't even know what you call that 3. I mean, triple threat position, one leg, a little bit of Dirk, a little bit of Jokic himself, whoever. It was an insane 3, a little bit of Larry Bird in there. And then you got SGA, who looks a little bit like some of the best 2 guards you've ever seen in the past himself. Just cool and collected as can be, closing out the game. Both of these players showing why they were the top 2 candidates for MVP this year. So, listen, Warner Brothas Podcast will be back tomorrow. We'll be back a few more times this week. I mean, it's mid-May. It's nut crunch time when it comes to the NBA postseason. There will be more storylines and more drama to come. We'll be back.